jump in as early as you possibly can, but also be realistic with yourself when things aren't working out. We have 1,000 decisions we have to make. And it's really easy to just get into a pattern of making the easy one. I would say it's not some major big advice, do this. It's getting good at making those little decisions throughout the day that get you a millimeter closer to where you want to be.
Hey guys, in this episode I'm joined by Stan Prokopenko. If you're not familiar with him, he's one of the biggest online art educators and art YouTubers out there. In this episode we talk about how he kind of built his YouTube channel and kind of found his own voice as an artist. A lot of people are curious about how do you reach such a crazy level of success that he has, and his advice is generally something like, just focus on your day-to-day habits and focus on the things that you care about most, and eventually you'll solve those problems. Thanks so much for clicking on this video, and if you'd like to support me, please consider checking out the links to the description of the courses below. All of your guys' support really does help me make more content like this. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy the episode. I think with any creative endeavor, it's never really about the money to begin with. Whether you're making $100 million, partially about the money. You have to survive, right? You know? But it's, I think when people, they look at someone who's successful, they see the money and the studio and the subscriber count and all that kind of stuff. And but they don't see the day-to-day tedium that actually goes into making a YouTube video. We just spent 20 minutes just trying to set up an extra microphone just to make sure everything is correct. And then it's, you don't have to do that, but you're choosing to go that extra mile.
I'm choosing to care. If you go through everything in your job and you don't care about the quality and the things that you're doing, it probably means you're doing the wrong thing. You're not doing something that you care about. That's the reason I was doing this, because I actually care about how it turns out, and it's because I enjoy it, and I'm proud of the work I do. And I did have jobs before where I really didn't care about the things that I was doing, and I was really miserable doing those things. Are you in the right place? If you weren't making this money, would you do it anyway? If the answer is yes, wonderful. But then also, are you making a lot of money doing it? Wonderful. You have both of those things, and it's the perfect combination. And it's really hard to get that perfect combination. Almost nobody gets 100% of both. You have to find your path that leads to the most of both. It's not like I have that perfect balance, but I always try to figure out how I can get as close to it as possible. Like, running a company just comes with a whole bunch of fires you have to put out all the time. I don't like that. I don't enjoy it. I try to just get it done as fast as possible.
Yeah, I think with anything, if you're going in plein air painting, there's a bunch of tedious stuff that goes into being a plein air painter, like driving to the place and, putting on sunscreen. And part of being a creative person is being okay with all the tedious work that goes along with, doing anything at scale. Like,
yeah,
when I was working for you, I was surprised by how much of it was boring. We'd record a video. No, is it?
That's great.
You see the final result. You see the video that gets 1 million views.
It's all exciting because we cut out all the boring crap. I find doing taxes boring, and dealing with contracts. That's the stuff that I want to get rid of as much as I can, or delegate as much as I can to someone who enjoys it a little more. Spending 16 hours editing a video, I'm in the zone. I'm having fun.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Sure, it's not glamorous.
It's hard to justify doing a drawing sometimes when you know that you have payroll to meet.
It's a balance. Again, it's every single day you're going to have to make these micro decisions that lead you down some path towards one or the other. And sometimes you're going to choose to do something that's going to make a little more money. Sometimes you say, no, this one, I really just need to be pure creativity. Yeah, while I'm making a video or doing a painting, I'm not thinking about scale. I'm not like, how many people are going to see this? What's the potential for this video? I'm not thinking about that. I'm just trying to make the best possible thing I can. But then there are times during the day where I'm trying to figure out, how do we make money? And I am thinking about scale. And those things can be fun too. Like, those are little problems to solve, and they can be fun. Some of them are not. But yeah, there's a balance of both, and you have to be comfortable. If you're trying to run a company or some kind of, even a little small business, you have to try to enjoy some problem solving.
Well, at this point, like, going viral is like boring to you. Like, you've done it enough times to where
I think I'm always going to find it fun and exciting to get recognition from people that I did a good job.
Like, where you're at, a lot of people would aspire to be there professionally. And I guess knowing that with that comes a lot of the tedious stuff, like, again, contracts, doing things you don't want to be doing.
A huge transition for people is just becoming an adult, figuring out that nobody really owes you anything, and it's completely up to you to figure stuff out in every part of your life. You got to stay healthy.
No one has a crystal ball. No one knows the future. And sometimes this creative thing that you think is going to make a lot of money doesn't.
You can go a decade of just trying, and it just keeps failing because you're trying to figure out how the world works. And I think the world rewards people that keep learning and growing no matter what. It's really challenging, but that's the whole point there, right? Is if it was easy, it wouldn't be possible for everybody to be like super successful.
Yeah, and I think there is that impulse to look at the finish line and be like, once I get there, then I'm done. I don't have to be anxious anymore. The fear is gone because I know I have 1 million subscribers or something.
Oh, I think, okay, so I think that might be the wrong mindset then.
Yeah.
It's not about that trophy at the end. You have to figure out, what do you enjoy doing in the moment of doing that thing? Because that's where you're going to spend all your time. It's in those 16 hours of editing or whatever, painting, that's where you're going to be. That's where your mind is going to be. And if you're always trying to look forward to that finish line, then that's going to last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I did it. Okay. Right. And then it's done. Yeah. Don't chase the shiny thing at the end of it. It's about the now and enjoying what you do. Just because if somebody else finds it exciting doesn't mean you have to. Just means you have to find the thing that you find exciting.
Yeah.
It could be different for you. You might have a hero that you really like, and then they do it in a certain way, and then you try it, and you're just like, what? That's not for me, and then that's okay. But there is pressure to follow other people's footsteps. Yeah. That can be okay for a while, but you just got to be true to yourself. Like, I'll have moments like that where I just go like 6 months, a year of just something needs to change. I don't know what it is. I can't just think through it logically. It stays in the back of my mind. Every once in a while it comes back up. I'll think about it for 30 minutes while I'm walking. Don't have a solution. And then a year later, it's okay, clarity. So you'll hear people say this kind of thing, and then you'll try to think about it and like, I got nothing. It doesn't work like that. You can't just solve a problem, a big life direction problem, in one little think tank session. It has to just be something you constantly consider.
You allocate time every morning to go on a walk, to just let yourself putter around at things and talk with people if you want, or just spend time alone and
talk to people outside.
Yeah, but realistically, a lot of your time is just resting and thinking about stuff and kind of making sure you make the right decision.
Yeah. I guess you can call it resting. We could fill our day with things to distract our mind from the important things that we need to think about.
Yeah.
That you just never get to it. It's like your mind gets bored constantly throughout the day, and you pull out your phone, and then you instantly satisfy that boredom. But that boredom can lead you to some really meaningful conversations in your head.
When you're focused on survival, I think that impulse for dopamine gets a lot stronger.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of stress that comes with it, and it is very true. That stress can bring on a lot of things that are not healthy for you, that don't help you get out of that stress. Yeah, it could be really hard. Hopefully there's some kind of support system in your life that can get you out of those toughest moments. But in the end, you just have to make those tough decisions, notice where you're at if you're really stressed, and like yourself enough to force yourself to get out of it.
And it takes actual time as well. It's like it will take you a year to make a decision, or 6 months or something. And
like big decisions, like major life decisions. Yeah, sure.
I remember when you were setting up the studio, you spent a week or 2 weeks figuring out if it should be like a decorated back YouTube set, or it should just be the white background.
Yeah, but it wasn't like me thinking about it actively for 2 weeks. I think it was more than 2. I think it was several months that it was like, I don't know what to do. But I didn't sit down and think about it for like several months. It was just, I just let it be in my head. Yeah, I occasionally came back to it in my head when I got bored or something. So, but yeah, I also talked to a lot of people. It would just come up because it was always in my mind.
Yeah. the goal is to put yourself in that mindset to where there is no creative pressure to get anything done. It's just to let it come out at its own pace. I've been reading a lot of Rick Rubin lately in The Creative Act. It seems to me that you've been able to take something that's relatively boring to the average person. And
I think that's oversimplifying. The online ecosystem can serve so many people. It's all over the place. Education is a huge part of it, and education it's not comedy. I'm never going to get 1 billion views on my channel or my video, but that's okay. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't need 1 billion views because I'm not working on half of a penny profits from each person. It's like, I have a student and that's a good chunk. It's a good enough, right? It's a totally different type of business. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
that it worked.
I talk to people all the time about this stuff, and it's like they have the choice between $1 billion and being stressed out all the time, or a much, much lower net worth and just having freedom over their time. It's generally better to choose the thing that you have.
It's an unfair comparison. You went to an extreme on one side and got comfortable on the other side, right? Would you rather be rich and miserable or
happy?
Comfortable. It's like, what? What? No, it's like the other extreme of it would be like homeless and you can't afford anything and you're starving and you're sick because you don't get enough nutrition and you got mental health issues because you're so stressed out all the time. And that's the other extreme. Like, which one? That's a much harder decision. Most people want that just middle of the road, comfortable life where they're free to explore within some boundaries.
Like, when looking at your story, the analogy that I use with people is that you wanted to be a Disney animator when you were 16 and you applied to CalArts and you were rejected from CalArts. So from one perspective, you're a failed animator. From another, you're a successful YouTuber. The lesson there, I think, at least for me, is like reframing what success means to you.
Yeah, and failure. Both of those, yeah. Just reframing both of those things. They're not little badges that you have to wear on yourself to show off to everybody.
Yeah.
If you fail at something, a few hours later, everyone forgets about that.
Right.
Most of what people think is, I failed. It's just, I didn't do the thing that I wanted to do, and that's about it. Doesn't mean that, 1,000 people lost their jobs and now they're having a hard time supporting their families. Yeah, I think it's having a healthy relationship with failure and just using it as growth instead of a reason to beat yourself up. Have some respect for yourself as well. If your kids fail at something, how do you respond to that? You beat them up?
Yeah.
No, like, obviously what someone needs in that moment is just like some support and be like, yeah, let's just move on. It's not that big of a deal. Just keep going. Just have that same level of respect for yourself as you would for your child.
It's almost more valuable to practice the failing than it is to practice the successes.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. You're going to fail at things every day. But yeah, general advice though, in a creative field, it's tough because so much of what happens in your daily life that you don't have control has a huge effect on how you act in your creative endeavors as well. Like your relationship with failure. That's something you just learn throughout your childhood as you grow up, and then you stuck with it.
Yeah.
Everybody has weaknesses that they've grown to have. And as adults, we have to work on how we can change ourselves to be better. And we're always going to be moving towards trying to be better, hopefully.
And the balance is when you're trying creative projects and they don't work, you have to balance that with the real world consequences of not having enough money.
Hopefully people don't put themselves in that position where a failure has severe consequences like that. So some people have a really high risk tolerance, and then they maybe are really good at digging themselves out of those holes, and they can keep trying that, getting in some holes and coming back up, getting in some hole, come back up, and then eventually they hit one that works. But other people, those constant failures could really demotivate them to where they just give up completely. So you got to know yourself. I think most people, it's probably not a good idea to just risk everything all the time. Have a backup job. If you're not making a living with your art and you want to be an artist, you're going to have a job in the meantime. You have to do something. A lot of it is just constantly grinding and trying to get better at something and making the right decision. It's really easy throughout the day. We have 1,000 decisions we have to make. It's really easy to just get into a pattern of making the easy one. Just like, this one feels better. That can just be a spiral to where you end up just not really ever being able to do difficult things, make the hard choices that lead you to quick growth and being able to accomplish those things that you want. I would say it's not some major big advice, do this. It's getting good at making those little decisions throughout the day that get you a millimeter closer to where you want to be, because those add up.
Yeah. And then your business it's not a single YouTube video that you made that went viral that made your whole thing work. What? Oh, no, but it's
The funny thing is it was,
right. I mean, there are plenty of people that go viral that do nothing with it. It's like
sure. Okay, sure. Yeah.
I'd say most people who go viral don't do anything with it, but
The Huck girl did something.
yeah, but I'm sure there's though. Oh yeah, that went great, right? Yeah, I'm sure it went good. Yeah, everyone loves it though. Yeah, I think people look at the Beatles, they see that there's their entire discography, which is some of the most popular music of all time, but then people don't talk about the years that they spent in small bars playing to small crowds and getting booed off the stage.
Thousands and thousands of hours.
Yeah.
I think.
I have a few videos now that are like 200K, 150K. But if I stopped now, it's almost like it won't lead me anywhere.
If you stop? Yeah, stopping won't do it. Yeah. Unless there's some kind of opportunity cost there. If there's something that you see that would be way better to do than whatever you're doing, sure, take that way better thing.
Yeah.
But just stopping because it's not working or if it's not as good as whatever it was, like, whatever you're hoping it would be, that's not a solution either. Because then you could just go do something else that is just as difficult, and now you're just starting from scratch.
Yeah. The thing I'm running into is I'm doing videos that are getting more and more views, and I'm thinking, oh, that was just a fluke. The next one is going to be...
No, it's always like that.
Yeah.
You can't have a hit every time until you do. If everybody wants to be above average, not everybody could be above average. That's impossible. It's that same thing. You're just putting that pressure on yourself individually that everything I do has to be above average of everything I do. That's not possible. You're always going to have the worst thing you did and the best thing you did. And that's your range. Just increase your range. Not everything within your range has to be at that peak of the range. You know what I mean?
I was talking to Ben Eblin about this. He will go into the HTML of Instagram and he'll delete his own ability to see his metrics. So like,
what? He does that every time?
He's told me he does do that. I don't know how much he does it, but I think it's interesting that he does it at all. He will purposely avoid looking at the reception of it.
Yeah, that's some self-discipline there.
I definitely don't do that.
No, I don't do that either. Yeah.
No, but I look at it a lot. It's like,
how much?
I want people to like me, man.
So you look at it. I mean, it's like you post the video, it's like 9 a.m. When are you going to look at her?
Probably like a couple hours later.
Just once?
But like every couple hours. Every couple hours. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, refresh. I'm still like, it's still new enough to me to be like, oh, shoot.
That's not good, man. Because then that whole day is a waste.
Yeah.
That day you publish should also be like, we're starting the next thing.
Yeah.
Just keep being creative.
Yeah. I think it's like that obsession with how it's received, whether it's because when you see you're doing a home run, you're like, oh man, I've finally done it. I'm the best person in the world.
I'm the best person in the world.
No, but
I made this YouTube video.
Other flip side of that is you do a video or anything that no one likes and that is not well received, and suddenly I'm the worst person in the world.
Yeah, see, both of those reactions are ridiculous. Both extremes are just silly. Having family and friends.
Yeah. This is being a person.
Yeah. Go out, pitch some graphs.
I talk to a lot of people who they're going to give themselves 2 years to go to Art Center and And they're giving themselves a set time frame to be like, if this doesn't work, then I'm a failure. So I'm going to grind 100% of the time, or I'm going to take 50 classes at this school.
Jesus Christ, where are these people? Are they the ones that end up making it eventually, though? Because
Sometimes.
that could be beneficial if it's not so extreme it becomes debilitating.
Yeah. But I mean, so sometimes, like when I was going to Watts, I'd meet people who would take 15 classes.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Like I've had that impulse as well. And I've taken a lot of classes there terms, but
What was your max?
like 8. If I were to go and give myself advice again, I would say go take 2 to 4 classes at the very most and spend the rest of the time just doing other stuff, being creative on my own, doing my own personal projects. And the reason I was doing 8 is because
Great advice for yourself.
but it's not to work harder necessarily. It's to do what comes more naturally. And when you spend 100% of your time forcing yourself to do things, you burn out, you lose interest in stuff.
Right.
And that decision of taking things slowly, being patient, I think it compounds to the point where that's how you start hitting success, is you just keep doing the work.
You're so smart, dude. That's some great advice. You should have a YouTube channel.
I should. Yeah.
I don't have anything to add to that. That was brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Oh, man. No, I'm a genius.
You are.
I don't know if I'd be able to do what you do in terms of operating with a bunch of employees and all those. Or
Because you're different.
yeah.
And do something else that I can't do.
And that's totally okay.
Yeah.
But it's, I guess it's like operating at whatever scale that comes most naturally to you and being thankful and okay with whatever that scale is.
Forever?
Until you feel comfortable. Marshall Vandroff was talking to me about In-N-Out and how In-N-Out, the company, they haven't expanded to the East Coast because they want to make sure that every step of the way has quality to it and it's done well.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. They have their own objective. You just have to know what you want. If you know what you want, then it's a lot easier to make those decisions about what to do next. What's the point of them expanding to the East Coast?
I guess it would be more money,
In the long run? In the long run, it's a quicker death. Good now, but like next month, I'm going to have a lot of stress. Why?
Well, it happens all the time too.
Yeah, it does. Because it's really tempting to take that big win right now. But not slow success for the sake of slow success. It's avoid quick growth that is not lasting.
I feel like I've done a bunch of these interviews at this point, and it's all about the same thing. Like even if somebody right back and listen to ours, I'm sure it's a lot of the same stuff. But
Okay, let's say something different. What else can we talk about?
I think everything is about this conversation. How do you justify going and trying to be a painter?
If it's the only thing you can do competently, then that's probably also the best path for you to having financial success.
Yeah. But to be a great painter, you have to put an insane amount of time into it. And
But it's not like you have to wait 20 years before you could start making a living off of it.
And I think that's where people get stuck. Like I was talking to Morgan about this, and that forever student mentality is rough because really, like there are people with more experience than you that will want to tell you.
Really?
There will always be a reason to wait. You will have people sometimes telling you that you should wait. The people with authority that you respect, and sometimes you will have to disagree with them and push back against them. That, to me, that's actually the hardest part of this whole thing is like when you first started YouTube, it was a bad idea.
It depends on how you frame it.
It's a worse idea than becoming an investment banker at the very beginning.
Again, it depends on how you frame it. That would be so miserable for me.
I'm basing it off conventional wisdom.
Conventional wisdom about what? That's what I'm saying. How do you look at that conventional wisdom? There's wisdom about living a happy life that says don't become an investment banker. That's also conventional wisdom.
Do you go to college or not? That's conventional wisdom. I didn't go to college. You didn't go to college. But
You're talking specifically about making money, though. You're not balancing it with living a happy life.
yeah, but I'm also saying that in general, your teachers in school or
Sure.
yeah, that's the conventional wisdom that I'm talking about.
Yeah, a lot of people in my life are like, oh, dude, it's going to be really hard to be an artist. But okay, it's up to you. And I was like, I got this, guys. And then it worked out.
Yeah.
a lot of times it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know about saying, yes, always push against what people are telling you, because a lot of times people are telling you something that because everybody understands something that's true that you just don't. And it might be better to listen to that. But you know, the best way to find out, let's just do it. Yeah, go and fail. Just make sure that failure doesn't debilitate you, that you'll be okay if you push against that conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
If you fail, you'll be all right. If not, then don't be an idiot.
And I also think it's being realistic too.
Yeah.
Again, I think you told me when you first started your YouTube channel, you were doing it to sell your paintings, and that didn't work.
This is barely enough. Yeah, barely enough. I would be like eating ramen or something.
That was scraping by.
Yeah. But yeah, it was enough. Because I was also teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff together, I was able to survive on my own.
But to hit that lifestyle that you'd want, following that,
You know.
it's like you needed to change. You needed to pay attention to what's in the market. And
Right. I could see that it was shifting quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Away from galleries and stuff.
Yeah.
That was going to be a rough next decade if I
it's still rough.
tried to. Yeah, oh, yeah, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the reason I saw it is because I'm like a child of the internet. Like
line.
every household had some kind of dial-up modem. It was like 96 or 98. 98, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a kid. I was 12. So all my teenage years, I was online and I understood it at a level that a child who grew up on it understands it.
Yeah.
And so I could feel it, where a lot of the gallery owners and the artists at the time that were already successful, they're already in their midlife and they know it's just like this new tech. Who cares? This is how it's always been. So it's like every generation has that like thing, that shift that happens that could give them the unfair advantage over the previous generations. And I just happen to be perfectly aligned in that shift and all of my gut.
Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers, I think I'd recommend everyone read that book just because I think it's an important
Great book.
Yeah. And he uses Bill Gates as an example where he was
Example for other people to live by.
No, but it's like at the time, it's like dropping out of school and spending all his time on computers was a bad idea to everyone else around him. But it's like you can't plan lightning in a bottle. You can't plan crazy success. All you can do is follow what interests you. Yeah. And no one would have predicted YouTube would become an actual viable business model for stuff.
Yeah.
In the same way that no one could have predicted.
But I didn't drop out of school.
You didn't go to college.
Hey, you're talking about the degree? I didn't get a degree? Is that the thing that like...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's the example of Bill Gates? I don't think I understood that.
When he was young, he would spend all of his time on computers, just futzing around with them.
Yeah.
Around with them from, I don't remember exactly, but he was like starting from age 12 to like when he was college age, he just would sneak into the computer rooms at his school and just play around with the computers. He had teachers that would just give him extra time there because that's what he was obsessed with. And they just let him do that because that's what he was interested in, doing it for fun. And then that interest eventually got to a point to where he was able to become somebody that knew a lot about computers when computers became useful.
Right.
A lot of people in their lives have those things that don't make sense to spend time doing until they do. Like doing figure quick sketch doesn't make a lot of sense until you're teaching it to 10,000 people or 100,000 people online. Drawing comic books when you're 12 years old doesn't make a lot of sense until you're...
Can I push back on that though?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't quick sketch make sense until you're teaching it to 10,000 people?
No,
Animators did quick sketch for decades to study.
I know a lot of convention artists who make a living selling prints at conventions, and I would bet that they spend a lot of their time in school doodling anime boys on the margins of their math homework.
Okay.
Doodling on the margins of your math homework led to more financial success later on because now they're at conventions and selling prints and traveling the world. If you're in that third grade class, you can't see where that's going to lead.
Sure, yeah. Most problems you can't plan for. Some of the big ones are predictable and you can plan for them, but with things like what artists do, just having a lot of skill in a wide variety of things is a great way to do that, to be able to fight whatever comes your way. if the markets adjust and you have to shift to something else to survive, you have a lot of tools in your bag.
And just because something isn't guaranteed to work, it's still worth doing.
And nothing's guaranteed to work.
Yeah.
No, like you said, no one has a crystal ball. We don't know where this is going to go.
All you can do is just try your best. Again, going to that math analogy, it's okay. That's another reason to stop drawing. You just go get your law degree or something and just and stop it.
No, that's a horrible.
I'm not saying you should actually do that.
Wait, AI can't come after the lawyers? What?
I'm saying that there's always
Lawyers just as well as artists. Like
programmers and doctors.
Yeah. I mean, what are we talking about here? I don't understand that logic of it could replace the thing that I love doing. So I'm going to go do that other thing instead that is just as risky, but I hate that thing. I don't understand that logic.
Again, it's like a more historically stable job. And I'm not saying you should actually do that. I'm saying that's what people sometimes think when they are trying to find a reason to keep doing the thing that they're doing.
And I don't see the logic in that. That's my response. It's just like, no job is secure. Some jobs, maybe. I was watching a art restoration video yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got into a rabbit hole. Damn it, Slew. Please send me a text asking about he's got a yellow painting, something that's 20, 30 years old. Yeah, it's like, how do I make it not yellow? No, it's probably the varnish. You gotta get rid of varnish remover and try a little corner. But then I was like trying to find a video to send to him. And then obviously on the side is like all these other art restoration videos. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I click out, there's like a 30-minute video and I watched it. And it was like this really old beat up painting that had holes in it, missing chunks. The canvas is dry and brittle. There's so much dirt in between all the canvas thread, and the job of this person was to restore this painting. And I was watching all of the things that this person is doing. I'm like, nah. Yeah, it's possible for someone to make machines and software that's going to make all these decisions of how best to restore this painting. But who the hell is going to make that? That is not coming soon. That person's job is safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that person's not going to lose their job to a robot that's going to restore that painting. Every painting is so uniquely damaged. It's just, yeah. So not every job is risky, but a lawyer, yeah, they're going to lose them just as fast as artists.
Yeah. And I think the lesson there is always something to do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's an example in the art world.
Yeah.
So if you just go into the industry that you love and you're somebody that can build up that suit of armor to fight whatever comes your way, you'll be able to adjust as the market changes and see, where am I needed? Where can I be useful? Where I still enjoy it? If you're within the art world, you're much more likely to end up doing something you like that is useful. If you go into a job that you think is safe and then suddenly it's not safe and you're trying to find a job that you're going to like within that, you're going to be miserable. So just go into the world you like and get as good as you possibly can, and you're more likely to end up doing something you like doing. Not guaranteed. No one's guaranteed anything, but you're more likely to get that.
The only thing you can do about that is just put as much effort as you can towards it and try your best, and be okay with the failures as they.
Be okay with them to an extent. You want to fix them. You want to get better at it.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like, yeah, I failed and that's all right and I'm fine where I'm at. No, you're not fine where you're at. You should keep trying to improve. Just don't beat yourself up to the point where it's debilitating and you just quit.
This month you're running a Kickstarter for a book, which...
Two books.
Well, I think it's interesting because it's like you could spend probably half the amount of time making a course and money and make way more profit from that than a book. That's like an example of of doing something at scale that, it's like choosing between the math homework and doing the doodles on the margins. You're doing the doodles on the margins.
These are the books. This is going to be a bunch of my drawings. It's going to be called Charcoal Graphite. And this is everything I've ever drawn that I like. Metaphor, no. But no, there's a Kickstarter, Proko.com/Kickstarter. You could get Hand Anatomy. This is a bunch of my ebooks compiled to one about all the how to draw hands. And this is all my drawings that I like. And your question was, what was the question?
Well, you're doing something that's like financially less efficient than making a course, which has always worked, but it's more interesting.
Okay. The decision to make a book that I know I'm not going to make as much money on as like just making another course. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Ever since I made my first course, like 11 years ago, I was like, should I make a book out of this? And the answer has always been no. Right now, there's other things I should be doing with my time that I'll probably enjoy more and make more money with. We're going back to those two things. And so it's always no, because it's just too much effort. Now, I got to the point where I'm like, it actually won't be that hard for me to put these books together. I've already naturally got so much in place that putting these books together was much easier than it would have been 10 years ago. I already have all my old artwork scanned, digital files.
And the ebooks all put together.
The ebooks, we did it for the anatomy course, and we designed those, and we did that, and that was just part of the video course. And so much of the work is done throughout the decade of doing other things that it was like, all these pieces also are needed for the book. And now finally it's okay, we can do this quickly enough. We still won't make a lot of money off of it because it's like books are just expensive and we got to ship and like we got to do all the fulfillment and pay other people. And there's a lot of other expenses involved. So it's still not a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of time, and the coolness factor of it, I think, starts to tip it over. So yeah, it's not worth it.
Right.
But there is a danger. Like, I think some people make a decision to make a book and they'll spend like a year just like, that's their thing. They're making this book, right? It's all of this time that could have been put on something else that's probably would have been better for them and they would have enjoyed more. Like, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone enjoying the process of making a book. Everyone I talk to is just, I'm so glad it's done. And they'll get it. They'll do a year of all this effort and time put into making this book. And then they'll launch it and they'll make $5,000, $10,000. And was that worth it? Was that a good decision? Maybe it was a great stepping stone in their career and they can keep growing from that. Maybe. It's just that it could be a bad decision as well. You really have to think through it.
For some people, doing the book right away was the right decision.
Yeah, for some people it is, absolutely.
And for you, it's, again, going back to the way you were talking about puttering and you'll think of something and a year later it'll click. This is like a 10-year version of that where it's like, oh, you weren't planning to do the book. You weren't working on this book for 10 years. It just manifested and happened accidentally.
Yeah, both of them.
And it's like things came together. People asked you about doing books. Oh, Kickstarter. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, just by the act of doing other things, this thing happened just by happenstance.
Yeah.
The things that you're doing right now are going to be relevant to you 10 years down the road if you let them, or if you pay attention to it, you know?
Yeah.
And
You're so smart.
being sarcastic or no, yeah.
I'm teasing you, but
Yeah. But
smart.
I think people I look at your YouTube channel. I talk to everyone who has a YouTube channel.
You watch my stuff.
But everyone I know who has a YouTube channel looks at your thing as like, how does Stan justify having employees and an office and all that stuff? And
because I don't want to do it all myself.
well,
How do I justify it? I can't do that all myself all the time.
but it didn't happen overnight. It's taken almost like 13 years or something, or
Yeah, we're coming up to 13, I think. Yeah. Everybody's journey is going to be different, and it's crazier than playing chess. This is like chess on steroids. Life, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Being a Stan as well. Being me is also like playing a game of chess. But being Christian is also a game of chess, but way harder. And trying to just give like rules of life is just so difficult. The kind of a guiding principle though is don't get lazy, and respect yourself and like yourself enough to be able to do difficult things that will improve your life later. Yeah. Just have some respect for yourself.
Knowing that there isn't a roadmap, I think is actually one of the most important parts to trying to be successful at anything, is that knowing that you can trust yourself and make your own decisions. And sometimes doing things that people will like doing, again, the conventional wisdom thing. You go through college and learning to distrust what other people are saying in favor of what you care about more. That's an important lesson I think people have to learn at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Giving yourself permission to not listen to everybody is definitely useful for sure. But it's not just about that. It's learning whose advice to take and whose to ignore.
Yeah. It's strange for me going off on my own a little bit. And sometimes I'll ask you for advice on a thumbnail or title or YouTube video or something, and I will disagree with your advice, which is strange for me because, again, I look at you and the thing you've built as, oh, Stan has done this well already. It's weird for me to disagree with him because he has all this authority and success backing him.
Okay.
And
it's good that you do, right? And yeah.
And it's like, it's strange.
Okay.
In that interview,
Does that make you proud of yourself?
It does, for sure. It's weird. And I think that it's been more beneficial for me not working for you. No, in a self-confidence kind of way, to know that, oh, I don't know,
you could do it on your own.
Yeah, it's oh, I don't have to have all this stuff.
I could just take all your courses down and
You totally could.
you're screwed, man.
But I could figure something else out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And knowing that is wow. It's like liberating.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like sometimes the being like pushed out from a nest or being pushed out from a sense of security, that's the thing that sometimes it might feel bad in the moment, but that's the thing that ends up being.
Yeah. I wouldn't that.
There's way less risk working for someone else in the short term, but the upsides are way lower. And it was strange for me to have an idea that would go and get 1 million views on your channel and then not having that necessarily translate to my stuff directly.
Yeah.
And it took, I need to do a bunch of other things to make that idea have any amount of success to it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Do you have 1 million view video yet?
I have 200,000.
Okay.
And Peter Han, that Peter Han one is a 200K too. It's nice. Yeah. It's like, that feels good.
Yeah.
It's
and you'll build up your channel to where then those will grow to 1 million. And yeah.
This video, for example, its reception is completely dependent on like how I present it. It's not necessarily, there's moments within this interview already that could go viral if I do the work to package it correctly, at least I think.
Yeah, the packaging is huge. Absolutely. You might have a really good book, but if the cover drives people away and they actually look at it like, oh, I don't want to read that. Or it's just so boring that nobody even considers opening it. The thumbnail of a video, that is huge. Yeah.
Yeah. One, I've talked to people before. They'll be gallery artists or they'll be convention artists, and they'll be unsuccessful in galleries or at conventions, and then they will change the way their stuff is presented, the way they decorate their booths or the way they present themselves at a gallery show, all that kind of stuff. They will not change the artwork at all, and that change in how it's presented, that will end up leading to way more sales. It's the presentation. And the impulse is to go like, oh, people didn't like my art. I guess I better become a better draftsman. Which I think is always important, but
usually that is the thing, though.
But I think people overvalue draftsmanship when it comes to being commercially successful.
Sure, draftsmanship on its own, maybe, but general skill as an artist, no.
Yeah,
there's a lot more to being an artist than just the draftsmanship. There's being able to compose and tell your stories and color theory. All that stuff comes together, but there's a lot of people who package their stuff very well, but they're just not good enough yet.
Yeah.
Their stuff still looks like student work.
Yeah.
And it's not meant to be an insult. It's just we have to go through that student work phase and get out of it to where we're like, we have enough skill to really compete with everybody else that's doing it. at their peak, right? Just takes a lot of time to get there. No matter how much you package it, your skills have to be at this. There's a minimum bar there.
I would disagree. If you're just starting out now, you don't feel like your skills are good enough, you can make an Instagram post about it.
Yeah, I guess I was saying if your goal is to make a living selling your work, where somebody's hiring you because of how good you are at painting or drawing,
Yeah.
that skill of creating the art is incredibly important. It matters how you package yourself, but man, it really matters how good you are as well.
Yeah.
Sure, you could then do like something around it where the production of the art isn't as important, but that's like a different job.
Yeah, that's true. But there's always something you can do. It's never going to be exactly what you want, but it could be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And again, people set out, they want to be like, I wanted to be a concept artist at Blizzard, and now I'm doing interviews on YouTube and making courses. That's a very roundabout way to get to where I wanted.
Yeah.
But it just started out with the interest and
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to paint and animate, and now I'm making videos about teaching it, right? Like, I'm doing the thing on the side of it. I'm not doing the thing that I wanted to initially. That you could definitely start getting jobs before you're like at that minimum level. But it's going to be much more difficult. You almost have to be lucky, because like when I was a teenager, I was getting little commissions from my parents' friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were happy with the drawings I did for them. But I wouldn't be able to get a job doing that, like a real actual job.
no one can. Almost no one. Like 1% of the 1% of the people.
No, what are you talking about? You're saying 99.9% of artists don't have a job?
99% of people who draw.
Oh, who draw?
Yeah.
Sure. It's like saying 99% of people who speak English don't have a job writing books. Yeah, well, a lot of people draw. Drawing is just like a thing. It's like a form of communication. It's like a human being that people like to doodle and stuff. I'm talking about the people that spent years of their life training to become a professional artist.
Yeah.
Within that pool of people, I don't think 99% of people are jobless.
But I say most still don't. I'd say most people who go to art school don't end up becoming figurative portrait painters and stuff.
Yeah. I meant a job where you're still using those skills.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
to be an insanely famous YouTuber or painter or concept artist, that's unlikely. It's like you need a fair amount of luck and timing to make that work. But there's always some other thing that you could do within the field that you studied in to go and be creative.
Yeah.
And for me, there's a part of me that feels guilty for not going all in on figure drawing, on trying to become a better draftsman.
Why?
Because I feel like I could probably make a better business. I feel like that's what people want from me more.
What do you want?
But what I'm actually doing is I'm spending time doing these interviews.
What do you want? You want a figure draw, or do you want to interview me?
I want to interview you.
Okay. So that's what you want. Who cares what people want from you?
But there's that feeling of, oh man, I'm sure you have feelings like that too. You sometimes feel like you should be doing something else.
Yes, but then I always come at it with some kind of logic to come to a conclusion where, this doesn't matter what people want, or yes, it matters because if I don't do that, then this and this will happen, and I care about those things. If I feel pressure to like finish the drawing basics course because people paid for it. I'll have days where I come in and I have to write a script and figure out the next lesson. And I'm just like, man, I really want to do something else. I'm like inspired to do something, but I got to go do that thing. And I feel pressure to do the thing.
Right.
That's totally normal as an adult. Well, but I ask, okay, logically, do I need to do that thing? Yes, I do. Because then my business will fall apart.
Yeah, people.
That's a good enough reason for me.
Yeah. I think it's like, for me, I woke up this morning and I actually had the choice between canceling on you and just drawing or doing this thing.
Yeah, sure.
And again, going back to those little micro decisions, those over 10 years, that will determine who you are creatively.
I know. Okay, so yeah, some people will always make that choice of, no, I don't feel like doing it. It's probably bad for me and for my business, but I'm going to do this thing. And they always make that choice of pure artist. I will just follow my muse. And those people end up way too far on that extreme and like all constantly sacrificing their business. And business, I just mean the little self business. And then they just don't end up ever being able to support themselves to do it fully. They're actually sacrificing being an artist to be an artist because they can't support themselves being an artist. That's too far.
Some make it work though. It's
Sure.
the LeBron James of art. Like people see.
Nah, that's a bad example.
Okay.
It's like saying Michael Jordan. It's like, no, Michael Jordan for like
Nike and the shit. Yeah, okay.
no, he did a real good job.
It's like Michael Phelps, or any of those athletes. They get to the
Wait, sponsorships?
he takes on, but
I think a lot of people get too hung up in thinking they're not good enough.
Yeah.
Not that they're not the best. Is that they're not in that threshold in the bottom. They feel like they're just, yours was like a huge caricature of it.
yeah.
It's like saying, like, I'm not in the top 1 million artists in the world versus I'm not the one top artist in the world. Like, there's a huge difference between those two things. Yeah.
Everyone wants to be competent and everyone wants to be good at the thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I guess one example for me is I've been doing some like videos on my channel teaching people, and one of them got like 50,000 views. It was just me sitting in front of my chair, just talking about gesture.
Yeah.
And I do not think, at least at the time, that I was qualified enough to make a video.
You probably weren't. I'm glad you did it anyway.
Yeah. And I don't,
That's awesome.
and I don't think anybody is.
Right.
And it's, that was like a little thing in my head. It's, oh, I was always ready and I was never ready. If I just,
So romantic.
oh man, like I could have been doing this the whole time. Like I didn't have to go and like, I mean, me going and studying at Watts was useful and working for you was useful and doing all these other things was useful, but it's, like I could have just done this from the very beginning. It might have not been as well received, but like I didn't have to wait, and I don't have to wait to continue to make videos like that.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think you tapped into just a really good quality of being a really good student.
yeah,
Always challenging yourself enough to where you're not sure if you're going to succeed or not.
yeah,
That's how you should be going from day one of trying to become an artist, going to school. If you're comfortable and if you're always doing something that you know you're good at, you're not going to improve as fast as everybody else who's always on that border of, oh man, this is really hard.
yeah,
So yeah, keep doing that.
right.
Falling off the cliff, jump in as early as you possibly can, but also be realistic with yourself when things aren't working out. Again, I was getting little commissions when I was still a teenager, but I wasn't trying to get a job at working for Disney or something.
Yeah,
I knew I was getting these jobs because they're my parents' friends. And then I was like 20 when Jeff offered me the position to teach. I was not ready. I knew I was not ready. And it's not like that validated me enough to be like, oh, actually, you're full shit. I'm going to go teach at, what are the good colleges?
CalArts.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, no, I knew that I got that position because I had a good relationship with Jeff and he trusted me at that point. And it was very validating. I wasn't ready for it, but and it was very rewarding, but also I knew my limits at that point.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I think it always goes back to those like little baby steps.
And baby step, that's a really good analogy there. So baby steps, not because they're tiny, but because babies fall
Yeah.
and they're constantly getting up and trying like the next step again and falling. They're not comfortable taking those steps yet.
Yeah. And again, for me, it's like, for me to make that one video that does well and then to stop, that's counterintuitive to the idea of trying to make more YouTube videos and to do better at this stuff. In the same way, that'd be counterintuitive to just stop drawing. And there's a book that I read, and it was like a fiction book, and one of the things in it is the most important step is not the first one, it's the next one. That's something that you said in the very beginning of the conversation, which is no one hands anything to you. It's completely up to you, which is both extremely gratifying and liberating and also terrifying.
Yeah, it depends on who you are. To me, it's very liberating. To me, it's, oh, I'm in control. Sweet.
Yeah.
That's great. To some people, that's terrifying. Yeah.
For me, it's becoming liberating, which is great. It's like, it can you can change.
Yes, it can change. Once you get enough confidence in yourself and you start liking yourself enough and trust yourself that you are totally worthy of making decisions.
Yeah. And you always are.
It's all in your head.
Yeah, it's 100% in your head. And for me, it's every single dumb YouTube video that I've been doing. Like the first podcast that we did was important to what I'm doing now. It's like doing that badly and trying to explore that in my own way was like living in a van, driving around, doing everything I've ever done.
Yeah.
Has been important to everything that I'm doing now. It's relevant. It's educated me, but it's not what you would have done, which that's important. It's a completely roundabout, different way that anyone else might have done it. And everyone's path is different.
I agree. Everyone's way is different.
Yeah.
I should play that Sinatra song.
Well, I get copyright striked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's find your way, bitch.
Here's my way. Cool. Do you want to cut it there? And
Sure. Good luck, everybody.
yeah,
Find your way.
try your best. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Get off your phone. Stop seeing this video. Go support my Kickstarter. Go do your work, right?
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Sick. Thanks, man.
See ya.